Last time on Classic Car Education, we looked at what you should consider in buying a classic car. If you missed that video, you should go back and check it out by clicking the link on your screen. But today, we take a look at sample cars, each of which fit the rating system that any strong shop will be aware of, a 1 to 5 scale. Thanks for joining us. This is Classic Car Education. So let's start with a car with condition number 1. Don't forget, when you're buying a car over the phone, when you make the initial contact with the seller, you can ask what's the condition of the car based on this scale, 1 to 5. Any classic car dealer, any serious one, will understand what you're asking. If the car is condition number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a good start in order to understand the condition of what you're going to buy. This is a 1931 Chrysler Imperial with a Waterhouse body, and this is a good example of what a number 1 car is. As you can see, there's no flaws, paint is impeccable, chrome is phenomenal, everything looks like new, and everything functions like new. Anywhere you look at, this is what also called Concours quality car, because you can place the car in any concours or any judging event and the car will perform very well, most likely winning an award. Not only in its exterior, but also if you open the engine compartment, for example, you're also going to notice that the car does not have any flaw. As you can see, everything looks like new. Even the details in the carburetor, correct colors and everything. So this is a good example of a number 1 condition vehicle. Now, in the interior, for example, as you can see, also everything looks like new and works like new. That it's important to say that. The car could be a phenomenal car to look at, but if you jump into the car and the car is not working well, it's not a number 1 car. Everything has to function properly, as good as it looks. Okay, now a good example of a number 2 car. Number 2 car is still a very nice car, but not as fresh and not as the condition as the number 1 like the 31 Imperial. This is a 1938 Ford sedan, and as you can see, the car presents itself very, very well. But you can see some details like the steering wheel, the color is a little bit faded, as well as the knobs. They don't show the freshness anymore. The clock, is no longer working. It's nothing that will avoid the car to work and to move properly, but details like that shows already the car is not number 1 condition anymore. This car was restored back in the early 80s. So it's holding the restoration very well because it was barely used, but because of those small details or small flaws, it could not fit in the number 1 category no longer. Okay, we are here in the restoration center, so working environment. I'm sorry about the extra noise that we could have sometimes, but that's what a restoration center is. So let's talk about a number 3 car, and usually it's a car that presents some flaws. Still beautiful to look at, but of course there are some things you can notice, and like this 1969 Roadrunner, for example. It's a great car, but you can see that the paint already has some flaws. The carpet in the interior needs some attention in some areas too, and the functionality of the car is not complete. So some items still need to be addressed. That's why the car is here in the restoration center. So the owner wants to transform this car from a number 3 to a number 2 car, and that's a wise thing to do. And later we're going to tell you why the jump from number 3 to number 1 maybe is not the best thing to do for certain cars. A number 4 car is a car that maybe is not complete, but is still maybe running. It's at the edge of being functional and being used. And like this one here, for example. We have the other parts. They are not just in the car, but as you can see, it's a car that needs a lot to be restored. And finally, a parts car could be something like this, that you have parts missing, it's not complete, and most likely will be used for another restoration project, okay? This is just to illustrate that, and not necessarily this car will be used as a parts car. But here in the restoration center, we have all levels of projects. And what I want to tell you is some cars arrived here, condition number 4, almost number 5, and they are becoming number 1 cars. So, for example, the Camaro we're going to show you, the car got here not running for 30 years, and we dismantled the car completely and did what we did with this one. Disassemble everything, every single nut and bolt, send the car to be dipped, so anything that is not metal, that is not sheet metal, will be melted, will be destroyed, so you have only the sheet metal, and you have all the rust exposed. The real condition of the car is exposed. Then after that, we start to address the body, making it straight, safe, authentic. Again, we're going to talk about authenticity further on. The next stage after that, the car becomes, let's come here to our fabrication and preparation room. Nice model A, we're finishing to install the engine, brand new engine. So then what we have here is, after the car being dipped and the body work is done, the car now is in primer and then will be painted. Before painting, what we do is take a look in here. You're gonna see the lines and the gaps adjusted as factory specs, 3/16 of an inch according to GM all along, and the lines being perfect. Even here, pins, we fit the grill in just to show how everything is aligned, see? And if you look from here, you're gonna see how nice the alignment is. So, how many hours to do that? We're gonna talk about it in a minute. And should you do that? It depends on your budget and how you want to see the car done. After this phase, the car is painted and turns out like this 63 Volvo. And then we start to restore and reassemble the car. It turns out like the 69 Camaro. And after that, the car is totally finished. We're gonna talk about the restoration process and the authenticity that you should consider for every restoration project. Very important. Another category that you should understand is the survivor category. So cars that were not restored and are still in good condition and presentable. One example, actually I'll show you 2 examples we have in the restoration center here. One is this 1956 Mercedes 300C, they call the Adenauer. See, what we are doing is, as you can see, the car was parked in a garage for many years. The paint became faded, problematic, but we are polishing it. See the difference? This is original paint. So what we are doing is we are polishing the car, bringing it back to its former glory without restoring, just making surfaces better, trim better, look it more presentable, and also functionality. It's being restored or worked on in order to function as new. Another car like that is the 1979 Pontiac Grand Prix over there. Belongs to a client. He has the car since new. See? The car still presents very well. Some small flaws like a scratch here, a ding there, but never restored, never touched. Take a look at this phenomenal interior. Take a look in there. Never restored. That's another example of survivor. We're going to talk about survivors later. This concludes part 2. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Next videos are about car condition, how many hours to restore, how many hours to make your car looking better, and how to do it in the best way possible.